Hey guys, Leilani Joy here with a different kind of video for you today. As you can see, I'm in major packing mode for my September artist appearance at Wonderground Gallery at Disneyland. And I figured since I have all this packing work to do and no painting to share, I might as well pack along with you and answer some questions. So I recently came across 10 questions that every artist should be able to answer. And it might be fun for you guys to kind of think about your own answers as I go through these. I haven't really previewed them too much. I'm going to just kind of do them on the fly. And hopefully, since I am an artist, I will be able to answer these 10 questions. And while I do that, I figure I will pack some little postcards and actually be productive at the same time is the goal. Anyway, if you do want to come see me at Wonderground Gallery in September, I will be there the first weekend and the last weekend. So I'll be there the 7th and 8th and the 28th and 29th, which is Saturday and Sunday. The first Saturday, I'll be there from 2 to 4 p.m. and then every day after that, I'll be there from 1 to 4 p.m. So 2 to 4, then 1 to 4. And on my first day, my first Saturday on the 7th, I will be launching 2 brand new Disney exclusive pieces, and I cannot wait to share those with you, and I'll be able to share the process and stuff as soon as they release. So anyways, and I will be bringing all this good stuff, all this inventory with me, and you can say hello, get something signed, so hopefully you can join me there. So without further ado, let's jump into these 10 questions that every artist should be able to answer. All right, and while I do that, I'm going to be starting on my, I've got some awesome postcards this year. I'm doing a brand new set of watercolor and ink postcards. Oh, check those babies out. Question number 1, what is your background? Racially or I've actually been asked that a lot. Being named Leilani and having this sort of mixed features, I do get asked what's my ethnic background a lot. So anyway, if you want to know my ethnic background, it is actually, well, I've been saying I'm Portuguese and Filipino my whole life because that's what my parents told me. But according to 23andMe, I'm actually not Portuguese at all. I'm Irish, Scottish, Welsh, and 28% Filipino, and then some other stuff. Anyway, but I think they mean my artist background. I was the kid that was drawing my whole life. In kindergarten, I won first place for the best art piece. I remember the other students voted on it, and I thought that was really cool. And maybe that's what kind of started me on the whole track. I'm like, I want to do this more. But I was just always making things. I was a very self-entertained child. I never, my parents were probably like, does she ever want to hang out with some little friends or something? I'm like, no, I'm happy. I'm making books and illustrations. And I even made little videos at a young age. I asked my dad if I could use his 20-pound, probably more than that, camcorder and make little videos of my drawings and stuff like that. So my background was very much in the creative. My parents even I was going through copy paper so fast. My dad had an office and I was just going through his copy paper that back then still had the little holes on the sides. I know I'm dating myself. You guys don't even know what I'm talking about. So finally they got me a giant roll of butcher paper. And I just rolled it out on the kitchen. They're just go to town, make a mural, just go for it. And so they were really great at supporting my my passions. So I decided at a young age, actually, that I wanted to be an artist professionally. And I found something from kindergarten or first grade recently, and it was where will you be in 20 years? And I wrote, I will be an illustrator, and I'll have a husband and 2 kids. And I was like, 2 kids by 27? That was pretty ambitious back then. I have no kids, and I'm 34 and still not sure if I'm going to, all that planet stuff. Anyways, subject for another time. So I decided early on I wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to go to art school. Actually, probably by the time I was in middle school, I wanted to go to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. And I loved San Francisco. I'm from the Sacramento area originally, and every visit to San Francisco is this is such a cool place. I'm representing it right now. I didn't even realize. And I just wanted to live there, and I wanted to have that whole experience. So then I went to art school, and I originally thought that I was going to major in some kind of 3D, because I thought, well, that's really something I could get a job in. And at the time, we knew someone who was working at Pixar, and I was like, oh, I would have a real job. So I started, my initial major was 3D animation, and I lasted one summer semester, and I was so unhappy and frustrated, and I was just like, the only part I enjoyed was designing a character and drawing it on paper. So I decided I was going to switch majors. And at that point, I switched to traditional illustration. And it was mostly a kind of a mix of fine art, and then you get some kind of art electives towards the end of your, before you graduate, which I really enjoyed. And then I kind of found acrylic painting as an elective my senior year. And I had an instructor named Kazu Sanu, who's a very famous artist with National Geographic. He did a Star Wars poster. He was just an amazing artist. And I was very lucky to study with him my final year. And I fell in love with acrylic painting. I had taken oil painting all through art school, and I knew that I didn't want to do that. I was often frustrated with it, and it was a slow process. And so I had always basically intended to be an editorial illustrator. Becoming a fine artist was a little bit accidental. I'm still open, of course, I still enjoy illustration, but I kind of started this momentum when I graduated from art school. I was making videos of me painting, and you guys are watching me here on YouTube even till this day, and I loved it. I loved making the videos. I loved connecting with my audience. I loved the whole medium of mixing that with my art, because I've always enjoyed videos and video editing, and it just seemed like, what the heck? Okay, these piles of cards are mixed up here. Okay, I almost put two bunnies in the same pack. Anyway, so I kind of like stumbled into an art job, if that makes sense. I had not really planned that out. And when I graduated from art school, I didn't know what I was going to do. I had a very mixed portfolio, and I had a lot of anxiety. I took a couple of different jobs just to pay my bills. And and I just kind of kept evolving as I went on and figuring out what I really loved doing. And I've sort of evolved into more teaching and more mentoring, and I love it. It's just been kind of a great ride. So that's the long answer to the first question, but I'll try to move a little bit faster as we hang out here. All right, second question. What does your work aim to say? Now, that one, I always struggle with it, because I feel like it's a little bit of an artsy-fartsy question, honestly. I'm like, what? I mean, I don't know. Am I saying something deeper with, this, other than it's a girl that has Starry Night as her hair? That's it. But I think for me, to answer that question, my work is myself. My work is my alter egos. It's females that inspire me. It's color. It's the world around me that inspires me. So that leads us to question number 3. How does your work comment on current social or political issues? I don't think that most of my pieces truly have a super deep symbolism or a commentary on the world or pop culture or politics or anything like that. However, I'm a passionate feminist who loves strong women and soft women, and all women are a combination of soft and hard and tough, and I love combining that in my characters and showing that sort of different those different facets of being female. And I also really enjoy letting my customers and clients find their own connection and interpretation in my art. I don't ever need to force them to say, well, this painting means this. And sometimes someone will pick us up and be like, this looks just like my daughter. And I connect so much because it has her essence in it. And to me, that is enough meaning for anything, Question number 4, who are your biggest influences? And this one, you guys have heard me probably answer this one before. And, my influences have continued to evolve, and I feel like I'm always just like taking influences and putting them in my little basket and evolving my own style because of new influences and things that I'm exposed to. So I think, like, I don't know. It's like in some ways I feel like I have kind of evolved past my earliest influences, but I hope that they're still deeply ingrained in there. So my biggest influences, starting out were, of course, Disney. I watched Disney movies all the time. I drew those characters. Sailor Moon, manga, and anime were also really big for me. And, when I was in college and really starting to think about doing this for real, Camilla D'Erico became a big influence of mine, and Audrey Kawasaki, Sylvia G, those young female artists that were like doing it, and they were doing it in their own unique styles, and they were professionals, and I just was very, very inspired by that kind of early pop surreal movement. And I was like, this is so incredible that they're like saying something so unique. And definitely a lot of them had similar influences mine. So those were big ones for me. But now I've also like found returning inspirations from like art history, like Klimt, and Sergio Topi has become a huge influence of mine, and maybe even in more recent years. So yeah, I would say that, and always new ones too. Okay, question number 5. How have you developed your career? Ooh, that's a tricky one. How have you developed your career? Well, like I kind of said earlier, it's been a little bit organic, if you will say. It's been a little bit experimental. I really, like I said, I kind of, as I was feeling my way through it, I figured out what I liked and what I didn't like about my process, and about what I wanted to truly do to earn a living. And like I said, I really felt passionate about the videos, about video content, about teaching, about sharing my process with young artists, and of course still making my own art. So I think I just sort of continued cultivating what I enjoyed and sort of phasing out what was not working for me. And a lot of times I was like, okay, maybe I should do more commissions. I should do portraits for people. For a while I was like, when I first started out, I was like, well, I'll do some pet portraits. I was taking any kind of art, employment that I could get. And I just really struggled through some of that stuff. And I was like, I really don't like painting people's dogs. I know it's money, but like, I figured out pretty quickly that wasn't going to be what I was going to do. And I've tried to learn and evolve, even though like I'm in my 30s now. I'm like trying to keep up with like what the kids are into, stay relevant, but also stay true to, what I want to do. And I think it's important not to jump on trends and like, be careful with that a little bit, because this is kind of a sidebar, but there's some fabulous, wonderful art on Instagram. But then I've noticed though that a lot of it has started to meld into each other a little bit. And that's like not a read on people, because, you're learning from other artists. But I feel like I've seen this pink girl with the witch hat, like over and over and over in a very similar style. Like, I don't know if it's a character or something, but I'm like scrolling through Instagram and I'm just seeing like hundreds of the same. Like, I know there's the draw this in your style, which is really great. But I don't know. I sometimes think like things that are trendy sometimes can influence a little bit too much, and you're not really creating an individual voice. So I think it's, important to still try to be authentic to yourself and not just say, oh, I love how that girl does her iPad art and I want to do it exactly like that. And it's hard sometimes because you start kind of developing those like pockets of just all these artists are doing the same thing. So yeah, sidebar. Okay, question number 6. How do you seek out opportunities? That's a great question, and I honestly wish I had a slightly better answer, because like I said, I've kind of like fallen, ass backwards is what I was going to say, so I'll just say it, into most of my opportunities. But having said that, I've just really tried to put myself out there. And I have talked to artists before, and some of my students, and even like other professionals, and they're like, I'm just like, there's so much out there. There's so much competition. There's comments and people being brutal online, and I'm just like afraid to put it out there. But that is something, and as a very like shy person, I know it doesn't seem like that since I do YouTube videos, but I was like the shyest person ever in school and growing up. And so just throwing myself out there honestly got me way more opportunities than I could have imagined. So just drawing in your sketchbook and being like, okay, like when I'm ready, I'm going to show this. That's not going to get you any opportunities. It's really being brave enough to put yourself out there can be, it can put you ahead of someone who's maybe even more talented or has more experience because you're willing to just plunge in, you know what I mean? So I have, occasionally, I love like art calls where they'll have like artist calls for galleries. They'll be like, hey, send your portfolio. So I do those quite often. Like especially if it's a show that's a subject I like last year, there was a Frida Kahlo show and I was like, oh, I'd love to be in that show. So I saw they were calling for artists and I sent my portfolio and I'm like, maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't. And they invited me. So it was great. And really, again, take that plunge. It can't hurt you. I mean, at least with the internet now, you don't have to like face people when they reject you. Cause like, I feel like, I don't know, if I had to like bring my little book into galleries and be like, do you like it? And they're like, get this out of my face. I might not be, as brave as I am, but when all you have to do is like look at an email and you're like, okay, they said no. All right, that's it. Close it. It's over. That does make it a little bit easier. But anyways, yeah, my answer to that is I just put myself out there. And if I hear about something, I'm like, why not submit? And I talk to people and a lot of my opportunities have come from other opportunities. So like if I get in a little art show, I go to that art show, I meet people there and they say, hey, have you heard about this? Have you heard about that? And literally word of mouth is like one of the best ways to, start growing as your career and your contacts and your clients and everything. So I really advocate for that. Okay. Next is number 7. How do you cultivate a collector base?
And you acquire the collector base.
Now that is always an interesting question. And it's one that I've kind of answered in a roundabout way, probably even on this little Q&A here. But honestly, be yourself and be authentic. That is the best thing you can do. And, if you're seeing somebody, you're like, oh, I want to do what that person's doing. I want to do it exactly like that. Don't do that unless you're going to do it a lot better than them. I had a teacher give us that advice in art school, actually, which I still think is like kind of a joke, but it's sort of true. Like, if you see somebody doing something that you like, unless you're going to do it a lot better than them, don't copy them. Do something different. Do something that's unique to you. What is it? What is your point of view that makes you a little bit unique, And I think I've connected with a lot of you guys because, we have similar backgrounds. We're like, we like nerdy stuff. I like to talk about Drag Race. I talk about other personal experiences. So it's like, I kind of just do me, like, as much as I can. That sounds really wrong. I just try to be true to myself and authentic as much as I possibly can. And it's not easy, but it does get easier the more that you put yourself out there, like I said earlier. If you have a client or customer that buys something from you, write them a little note or tell them how special it is that you've given, that they've given your art a home. I really try to do that because it does matter to me. And I think making that little extra effort with your fan base, with your collector base, it goes so far. Because I know, if I meet an artist at a convention or something and they're like, yeah, here's your signed print, whatever, and they don't even like talk to me or look at me, it's like, somehow I don't like that art quite as much. But if I meet an artist and they're just like warm and they connect with me a little bit, that will make all the difference and I will be a fan for life. And I'm sure a lot of you guys feel the same way. And it's not fake. I truly, truly appreciate every single person that writes me a lovely note or, buys something from my shop or comes out to meet me. Like, it's just a huge compliment for someone to make that effort. And I want to connect with that person and keep them as a long-term fan. So hopefully that kind of answers that question a little bit. Okay. Next. 8. How do you navigate the art world? How do you navigate the art world? Again, that's kind of like an artsy fartsy question. I feel like, and I think I kind of like answered it already. Actually, like just with what I've said here tonight is, don't try to like be trendy. Try to just be yourself. Do art that like is you, and is, your personal voice and what you want to say. And I think that's really that's something that people can really sniff out, is if you have something that is true to yourself and you stand by that. If you're, I think, there's artists that have gotten far doing like fan art, but and I think that's a great way to learn, like, don't get me wrong, but I think it starts to become problematic when, you go to like a Comic-Con and there's just like the rows and rows and rows of like comic book fan artists, and it's like, well, are you going to remember one from the other unless they're doing something really unique and special with it? So adding that little bit of authenticity, of uniqueness, is really, and making people remember your work for some particular reason. Not if it's technically better. Definitely not that. Because I if I've learned anything, it's that I'm not technically better than like very many people. And I just kind of like keep throwing it out there. I try to learn a little bit from every new piece I do. And if I do, then that's great. And if some people connect with it, that's all that matters to me. I don't feel like, okay, I have to do, I'm never going to draw or paint better than some of the masters. And that's truly okay. I'm able to find my own niche by just doing, what I do and staying true to myself. So I know that's like a little bit of a redundant answer, but truly, I think that's how you navigate the art world, is you stay true to yourself and you keep on doing it and keep growing for yourself and not anybody else, and not trying to be like somebody else. All right, we're getting close to the end here. All right, number 9, how do you price your work? Okay, that's a great question, and it's kind of a tricky one. I have like a great little, I might have to dig it out for this. I have a great little breakdown of this on my blog, artnewvogue.com. You really have to dig for it a little bit. Or it might be in my FAQs. I don't know. Anyways, and there's definitely some like mathematical calculations you could do. As a general rule, it's a good idea to kind of time yourself and figure out about how long it takes you to do a painting or an illustration. And then, if you're, depending on like how experienced you are, you might want to at least charge 15 to 20 an hour. I usually think is a good jumping off point, or, at least minimum wage. So make sure you're making at least minimum wage per hour, and then kind of see what number you come up with. Some artists are really fast, and some artists like take a little longer. I'm not that fast, so I definitely keep that in mind, that I don't produce as many paintings as some artists do a year. And I do kind of have to calculate that into my price a little bit. The other thing to keep in mind is just exposure and experience. Obviously, artists who have been at it longer, who have a big name, who have a big following, they're going to be able to charge more. That's just how it is. They're going to be in more demand. Jasmine Beckett Griffith can charge a lot more for her paintings than I can, because she has a huge following and she's been at it longer than me. And she has a bigger client base, and there's just only one of her, and she has a lot more demand. Like, remember, your supply and demand curves in economics was the same type of thing. So if you've got a bigger demand and the supply is limited, you can charge more. Oh, wow. I really am a teacher, right? So do keep that in mind. And when you're just starting out, like, you're going to have to compete a little bit. So you probably don't want to charge the top tier prices when you're just starting out. But with that said, I definitely want to drive this home to all of you guys, is don't work for free and don't work for super cheap. You are valuable and your skills are valuable. And when you undercharge too much, it hurts the rest of us. And I have run into that a little bit with people. They're like, I want a commission. I'm like, okay, great. And I tell them what my rate is. And they go, oh, well, I found this person on DeviantArt that will do it for $20. And I'm like, okay, first of all, okay, why didn't you just hire them and not tell me about it? And second of all, that person who's just charging $20 for a commission kind of makes some of the rest of us look bad, and they're probably not getting what they deserve. So, you know, I think it's always a good idea to kind of see what your comrades, what your people at a similar level that you, what do they charge? And if you're not sure, most artists will be candid with you if you ask them and just say, I'm kind of trying to learn how to price my paintings. What do you think? And if you're being asked for, you know, an illustration job or something editorial or a commission, it's always good to say, you know, aim a little high, and if they come back, then you can kind of negotiate a little bit. So never pitch lower than you think you're worth. Always pitch a little bit higher. And if they go, oh, well, our budget's this much, and you're like, okay, that's about what I would want to do it for. So that's kind of my rule of thumb when I'm working with clients, like especially if they're a bigger client. I kind of say, oh, well, you know, this is my hourly rate, or this is my rate per illustration, and I tell them a little bit more than I'm willing to do it for, if that makes sense. And, you know, if you want to get into an even longer-winded kind of answer for this, there's a great, like, calculation in the Graphic Arts Guild guidebook thing, and it tells you, like, you know, calculate your expenses, calculate how much you need to make, how many paintings you can make a month, and really figure out how much you need to earn as an artist to make it a lucrative career. So if that kind of, hopefully that kind of helps you guys. All right, finally, question number 10. We have arrived. Which current art world trends are you following? I just told you not to follow trends this entire video. But no, I'm definitely inspired by stuff I see. Like I said, sometimes Instagram just like overwhelms me because I'm like, oh wow, that's awesome. I should have done that before everybody was doing it. But let me think about that. I don't know, because like, I think sometimes like trends kind of just like you're exposed all the time now. We're constantly seeing inspiration and everything. So I think some of them just are a little bit subconscious. For me, they are, at least, you know. I'll see lots of stuff. I'm like, oh, I kind of like that. But I don't know if I consciously go, I want to jump on that trend. I honestly don't really think of it that way. I would like to learn some of the Procreate stuff though, because I have seen people just do such incredible stuff on there. I would like to be on that trend a little bit more, because I feel like I'm so you know, analog with the painting and everything, and I'm like, I really should brush up some digital skills and add that to my toolkit, right? I think it's always good to be able to adapt and be able to do different types of work if you need to for a while. And I really would like to, I have a Cintiq now, and I learned quite a bit about the Cintiq when I did that assignment for Mattel for the Barbie show. I really wasn't much of a digital person, and that made me learn real quick because I had to do like 3 illustrations a day. And I was like, okay, I think I get it now. But I think it's great to be adaptable and to learn from what other people are doing and stay. That's a good way to kind of stay relevant, I think. But yeah, like I said, adopt what you want, take little bits from lots of places, I think is, as a general rule, is a great way to kind of grow your personal style. But don't ever be trendy. Trendy's lame. You know, I haven't been trendy my whole life. I've always been like, I just want to wear this to school today, and people be like, why are you wearing that? I'm like, I don't know, I just want to. So do it because it's awesome. And all those people at my school that wore Abercrombie and Fitch every day and didn't talk to me, it's like, hey, whatever. Now I'm like, where are they now? I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about. Anyways, look at all these postcard packs I got done while we were chatting. I hope you guys had a little bit of fun here today on the 10 questions every artist should be able to answer. Let me know if you were able to answer them. If you're an artist, what would your answers be to these same questions? All right, guys, I'm gonna take off. But if you would like again to see me at Wonderground Gallery in September, I hope to see some of you guys there. Go follow me on Patreon for some more exclusive content. Probably some bloopers from this because I kept like messing up while I was trying to do this. Did I show you guys my Frida socks? I have Freedom with me today. Check these out. Oh, my legs are hurting. Anyways. That's it for me. Thanks for hanging out, helping me pack for my show, and I hope to see you guys really soon on another video. Bye!